Hello, my name is Gabriele. I'm a director and I survived the film school.
Where are you?
Where? I'm in LA.
I guess that makes more sense since I just saw you a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have assumed you were in Sicily or something.
Yeah. No, I came back from France a week ago. I was there for like 5 days for a wedding of an AFI alum. How about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I like the space that you saw, that new space. So I'm in the Alumni Center now, which
Hmm.
is cool because I've been here so long. So I know so many alumni.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the career services area, which we never really had until this.
Hmm.
So, it's just kind of like brainstorming with recent grads and talking about like, uh, you know, how they can figure out their first entry into the industry. It's really focused on writers, producers, directors because they have it the hardest, as you know.
I do know.
The other disciplines, there's a lot more structure to editing, to production design, to cinematography. You can work your way up. But man, I think the directors have it the hardest. But
Yeah, I think so too.
that's what we want to talk
I
about.
agree. I agree.
Because it's like also like going to AFI, especially because it's so intense and it's so structured for 2 years and then it just ends. And
Yeah.
you're just like, what do I do? You don't even know like where to go, like on certain days, right?
Hmm. And for us, it was I guess also the year after, but the pandemic started almost right after, so it was really a really strange time.
So you graduated,
2019, I got there
right?
officially in September, which meant that March 2020, um, the pandemic started. So
So
it
yeah,
was.
it's hard to like get some traction going, right?
Yeah, funny enough, the pandemic got me a job. I guess I'll talk about it.
Oh,
But
okay. No, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Let's back it up a little then. Because I know you went to school before AFI, right? You went to London.
yeah, so I moved to London when I was 19 years old, and I went to the London College of Communication, and I studied film there. It was like general film. Theory, you were supposed to do everything, but I was very stubborn since the beginning, and I just did directing the whole time. But it was a good experience. I'm very happy to not to be in London anymore, to be honest. It's not my, yeah. Also, when I moved there, I couldn't even speak English, so it was very difficult.
Oh
uh,
wow. So
yeah,
you didn't know any English when you went there?
I knew a little bit,
Yeah.
but I wasn't very good at it. In Sicily, they don't teach you English very well. It's just not, it's not
Is it
great.
just from TV, just from watching shows?
No, shows are dubbed. I
Oh,
don't I don't watch shows. I didn't watch shows in English. I will watch everything in Italian. Now people are in Italy are starting to watch shows and films in the original, but it used to be only dubbed. So
wow. So you knew you wanted to be in film at an early age.
yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I will write a lot. I wrote like a small novel when I was 17.
A small
Uh,
novel. A
I
small
mean,
novel.
it was like a 220-page novel.
Oh, okay.
I got also, I mean, this is my problem with the work I do. I never really, if I'm not 100% happy, I just hate it, and and then I don't really try to do something with it. Sometimes, only lately, this has changed. But for that novel, I did receive two requests for publication, but it was a small companies. Small, how do you call it in English?
Publishers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were very small. I would have needed to help as well, not much, but help a little bit. And so in the end, I didn't do anything. But yeah, I really liked writing, and then there's this course I did in high school about filmmaking that got me into like real filmmaking and into the idea of actually doing it. So I will say, yeah, very early on, I knew I was gonna direct. In fact, that's why I moved to London without any plan, because I didn't know when I was there, I didn't know what I was gonna do exactly. I knew that I was gonna look for a school where I could
Oh,
study.
you moved to the city first, then you found a school?
Yeah.
You moved to the city first, thinking I'll
I'll
work as a
find
director,
something.
or I'll find.
I'll find. I wanted to be a director, and I'll find something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I moved there.
That's that's pretty pretty bold.
Yeah, and I moved also because I knew that I was gonna do something outside of Italy, and I think it was a good. I thought it was a good idea to learn English first as well while looking for schools. So I went there and started actually learning English there.
So you're learning English and you're learning like the basics of filmmaking while you're there at the school.
Yeah, it's funny because my first project at this school in London was with Charlie Heaton, who was the guy from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah. No
Yeah,
way.
yeah, it was right before he became famous. I did a project with
Like
him.
he acted in your film?
Yeah. It was called it was a sign design project. So we were shooting something without recording sound, and then we have to make the sound in post. And so it had no dialogue or anything. And yeah, I saw this guy. Really, it was funny. I really liked his face. I saw it like in website and stuff. I really liked his face. He didn't reply to my first message. I insisted. I sent him a second message. He finally replied. He got for the interview, and it was clearly the best. It was really good, and I
Was that
cast.
one of his first things as an actor?
I don't think it was. So he had done small things, and then soon after he did Netflix. The funny thing is that he was a big fan of a band in which my roommate was in, and he will go to concerts. So I will see him at concerts. And I remember this concert in which it was very loud. He was trying to tell me about this Netflix thing, and my English was still bad, and there was a lot of music. So hearing Netflix, I was like, I don't think that's true. And then like months later or a year later, I found out that he's on this huge show.
So you must have his contact info, right?
I have his I con When I did my thesis film at AFI, I contacted him to be my lead actor, and he replied, and then he kind of stopped replying.
No.
We even got in contact with his agent, and then nothing happened.
Well, you had him first. Let's just
Right?
we'll give all of his success to your credit.
Yeah, I
You found him.
discovered the guy. I still have the short film, the horrible short film I made.
Oh, you should put that out online. That'll get some hits.
Right.
Some of your early work. So that the school in London was like a 4 year, like an
It was a
undergrad?
three-year program.
3 year. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got to make a lot of films?
I made I made four films.
Wow.
It was two in the first year, and then one the second year, and then one the third year.
Yeah. So when you finally started making films, did it just cement like, oh yeah, this feels right. This is what I want to do?
I will say that at the beginning, I was still when I got to London and I started making the movies, I was still trying to find my voice, and I was still trying to understand. I thought I knew what my voice was, and I will tell stories that were very intellectual and very conceptual. And if I think about it, I cringe because those movies were really terrible. And then a couple of things happened in the last year. I think I generally just matured. I was just
Yeah.
trying to understand what I wanted to do. I watched The Faces by John Cassavetes, and that really changed a lot. And then I started making movies that were much more personal.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie that I made in London the last year was a very personal movie. It was about my family. It was about the breakup of my parents. And that really changed things for me, because then that became the new thing, the new thing that I started making, something that was very personal and intimate, and trying to find this truth, investigating myself and my own past and my experience and all this stuff.
Yeah. So, but before that, these intellectual films you were making, what were those based on? What were they inspired by? Was it just other movies you saw that were intellectual?
I don't know. I don't know if they were inspired really by anything. I mean, one film that I wanted to make or either make was about the apocalypse. So it was just things that didn't make any sense. The one that I made with Charlie Heaton was it was about this guy that he lives in a very noisy world, where in this world everything is like diverse. For example, your alarm, you don't wake up because the alarm starts ringing. You wake up because the alarm stops ringing. It's the silence that is the silence that
I mean,
that
I kind of like that.
I mean, I also like the concept of it.
Yeah, there's something there. Everything's in the execution, right? It's like how you do it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, but it's also, I don't know. For me, it was like it's like this kind of movies that rely so much on these concepts are interesting. The first half of it,
Mhm.
then I get so bored because it's like I don't feel really emotionally engaged. I feel like intellectually engaged, but that doesn't last that much.
Right. Then it's like,
Um,
who are the characters and like what do they want? And yeah, where's
exactly.
the heart? Where's the
And this movie, what will happen is that for whatever reason that is not explained in the movie, all the sounds gradually like they stop and there's complete silence. And Charlie Eaton, in this complete silence, is able to hear his thoughts, and that drives him crazy. And so he just starts breaking everything in the house because he's just trying to make noise to stop himself from hearing his own thoughts.
I mean, I will say, like, based on I haven't seen the movie, I'm gonna hold judgment, but based on that concept, there's something there that's very relevant to today. I mean, I'm sure back then too, of all the distractions we have around us all the time that really
Yeah.
do keep us from, going in or inside and listening to our own thoughts.
Yeah, I don't criticize so much the concepts that I was choosing, not the concepts themselves. I guess I criticize myself for, as I said, relying so much on that and forgetting about the characters and their
Yeah.
humanity and everything. I think if I had managed to somehow get both, I will feel better about those movies, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And,
I think you should dust off that idea and see if now
maybe,
now with
maybe,
your more mature filmmaker brain, like you reapproach it and see what you got. But
maybe.
you went like way the other way. Cassavetes, like really grounded, really personal.
Mm-hmm.
Was that scary the first time you did that?
No, it felt right because those are. I think when I made that first film, there was more like it was not really more like Casavetes, but yeah, more intimate and personal. I understood why I was making movies and
Mm-hmm.
I was telling stories, and it's funny because I had spent already years trying to make movies, so like a few years, but only in that moment I understood why I was doing that, and it felt very important for me. And before, it just felt like it was just for my own ego. I just want to feel so much better about myself. I'm so smart because I come up with these things. But then it became just important for me, for my personal life, and also for those people that were touched by the stories that I was telling.
How did your parents feel about that? The
Uh,
film?
they were shocked because I reported lines that had been said, and stuff like that. So it's always difficult. I mean, my parents will not watch this, so I can say this. But a movie that I'm working on right now that I've been writing for 5 years, since AFI actually started with Sandy Stern.
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw him at AFI
Oh,
a
cool.
few days ago, and that 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 that's even more more scary, a little scarier in a way, because in that movie that I made in London, I was more focused on the child, and this movie that I'm making, I'm focusing on the parents.
Mm,
So I'm a little concerned about them watching it. Obviously, it's not always easy, uh,
right.
but I think it's worth it, and also to be honest, also with people that are so close to you in a way.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting how like as you age, then you're the same story, you just change perspective and it can really unlock something.
That's exactly what's happening. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you did 3 years, you go to this school, you direct 4 movies, you get a lot of experience. Why did you feel like you needed even more school and more debt?
I guess I just felt this is a good question. I don't remember my 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 mind's like the state of my mind in that moment. I think I felt I've always used film school. I mean, obviously, the two film schools that I did, I used them because they allowed me to make movies and to meet people.
Hmm.
Those were the main two things.
Yeah.
More than to be honest, more the professors teaching me that if I were actually very important. But more than that, it was about making movies, having the possibility to make movies and meeting people that are talented. I think America was for me, specifically AFI. Um, I knew first of all that I wanted to get to America. I remember when I was in high school, I would call the American schools during recess and ask information. And then I understood that it was a little too much at that point to go to America. So I kind of went to London as a mid step.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
That's kind of halfway. Yeah.
yeah, and so I knew I wanted to get there, and obviously going to school is a good way. If you can get to AFI, which is one of the best schools in the world, film schools in the world, and I knew that I was gonna make movies there. I was gonna be there as a director, and I was gonna meet a lot of people that have been, that are very talented, and I felt that was gonna be a very smart choice.
Yeah. Did you know anyone that had gone through AFI, or you just knew the reputation?
I knew just the reputation. Yeah, I didn't know anybody.
And did
Actually,
AFI does AFI, because it's in Los Angeles, does it represent Hollywood filmmaking to
I
the
didn't
outside
think
world?
it,
To like, you're from Sicily.
I didn't think it did. I think when you hear about FI, you know immediately the first names that come to mind are David Lynch and Aronofsky and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So it doesn't really feel like Hollywood, from the outside. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's just we're the only film school that are actually is in Hollywood. But you're right. We don't really have a Hollywood reputation. Our reputation is based on the success of the alumni. So
Mhm.
as we get, yeah, it used to be, David Lynch, Aronofsky. You think of the Paul Schrader; those are the names, right? Terrence Malick, total auteur indie filmmakers. And then if you think of the more recent ones, it's like Patty Jenkins, and she did Wonder Woman, and
Yeah.
Sam Esmail did Mr. Robot. And I mean, Ari Aster is kind of a throwback in a way, but he's got big commercial success. All right, so you apply to AFI, you get into AFI, right? And was there any gap between London and AFI, or was it boom boom?
Yeah, there was like there was
Oh,
a gap in which I worked in a to just end my experience in London. I worked in a pub, and the name of the pub, classic British, it was the famous Cock.
wait, is that a
And
famous one? I feel like that was in an Edgar Wright movie or something.
I don't think so.
No,
Honestly,
there's just a lot of
I really don't think
there's a
so.
lot of cock bars in
Yeah,
London.
probably. It
The
was so
famous
funny.
cock.
There was this there were a lot of like these Polish guys that were like two managers. And I remember once there was a rat in the basement, and that have been like scaring people for a while. And then one of these Polish guys, he comes up and he says, "Ah, by the way, I killed the rat." It's like how, and he was like, "Well, we probably ate some poison, so he was like not feeling, it was kind of like that." And so I grabbed him and I
Oh,
and
come on.
and
Come
I
on.
and I broke his neck with his hands.
So that's the kind of characters that you were working with?
Yeah, that was the famous cock.
Like it's like a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
So you work in a place like that though, you end up with like probably so many stories that you can use the rest of your career, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I guess there was some. It was very interesting to see, the guys that will come every day, the kind of people. So yeah, I guess you do get some. The reach. those rich, men that will like flirt with you at every, every
Right.
day.
Yeah.
With this young bartender. Oh no, what do you call it in like? Wait, I don't know. What you say,
Oh,
bartender? Bartender is
bartender. Yeah, bartender. Yeah.
um.
So you did that for how long? A year?
I did that for a little less than a year because I actually, as soon as I finished, I focused on the application for AFI. I spent 2 months of that on that application. I was working mostly at night because I've always worked better at night, and I would just stay awake like I would work from like 11 p.m. until 5 on this application. I spent a
Wow.
lot of time on it. It almost ended my relationship that ended later anyway because I moved to Los Angeles. But it almost ended before because of that.
It's
And
what
then
AFI does. AFI ruins relationships, whether in the application form or when you come here.
yeah, it always does. There are too many cases.
Yeah. Do you remember that speech like on one of the first days where it was probably Betsy or Natalie or someone was like, if you're married or if you're with someone right now, break up.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but it's not difficult to imagine because
Yeah.
I think it's AFI for relationship is like COVID for relationship. If you stay in the relationship, it means it's very strong because also too many people broke up during COVID as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to make it really intense. And yeah, it'll either be really strong or it's dead.
Yeah.
So you get in, you get accepted. That's a huge move, right? You had never been to Los Angeles or the States.
To Los Angeles, my first time was for the interview for AFI.
You flew out for the interview.
Yeah, I came here for the interview.
Wow.
I had an experience with Scientology as well on that.
Wait, what? Did you go to the wrong building?
No, I was in Hollywood Boulevard. There is a Scientology Information Center in Hollywood Boulevard, and I didn't know much about Scientology, and I was just walking on the first night I was there. The interview was the day after, and they were like, "Ah, we're about to show a movie. Do you want to see it?" Like, I have nothing to do. Let's watch
I
this.
love movies. Yeah, that's why I'm
I
here.
love movies. Let's watch this. And I go there and they take me to this little theater they had. On the short journey to the theater, they asked me where I was from. I say Italy. And I get to the theater and it was empty. So only me. And they start the movie and it's dubbed in Italian.
No way. That's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
classy move. Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched this 30 or 40-minute movie about Ron Hubbard. You never see his face in the movie.
What is this? People talking about him?
It's like you only see him from the back. Like it's shot in a way that you never see. You see his figure, but you don't see his face. And then after when I left the theater, when the movie was over, this person tried to convince me to join Scientology for like an hour.
And you were like, no, I'm signing up for a different cult. It's called AFI.
Exactly. Anyway, so the first time was during the interview, and I was actually a little scared of LA before I arrived because I had no idea what would be like. And then as soon as I arrived, I loved it because it's so similar to Sicily. It felt like home.
In what way?
I mean, the weather, first of all, and the colors. I don't know how to describe it. Just the colors of LA, they feel so much like Sicily.
Yeah.
And then, I spent almost 5 years in London, which meant that gray, rain.
Yeah, no colors. Yeah.
Yeah, no colors. And then I get to Los Angeles and there's the ocean. I mean, I didn't see the ocean at the time, but there's the ocean and it's hot and all this stuff. So it was very nice.
So it's like it's invigorating. So then when you get here for the interview, you must really, really want it at that point.
Yeah. I really wanted to get in. I had a good feeling because I thought the interview had gone really well. But yeah, I really wanted to come here.
Who was in the interview?
What was the interview?
Who was in it? Who did it?
Peter Markham and the production designer had
Joe Garrity.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wow, cool. 2 discipline heads. Usually it's just one.
yeah.
You remember anything that Peter Markham asked you? He asks hard questions.
He actually, during the interview, he quoted a lot my personal statement, and he asked me questions about my personal statement. I think at some point, and in my personal statement, I had written that I felt like something, I don't remember exactly, but something like this need of searching for the truth, and the truth feels like an emotion more than words. And I think I remember him asking me about this specifically, what I meant, and how was that related to my movies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Did he ask you about books that you are reading or that you've read?
He asked me about the Leopard,
Yeah.
because, and it was actually very lucky because I am the writer of the Leopard is a far like relative of mine, so I played that card immediately.
Even if he wasn't, you should have just said it because nobody's gonna fact check you.
Exactly, like it doesn't matter.
So that must have really impressed Peter, huh?
I guess.
That's great.
But yeah, no, I could tell that it had gone pretty well. That the interview went pretty well. So.
Yeah. All right. So and we got to kind of accelerate this, this journey because we got to get to after film school life. But I do want to hear about, I think the actual film school experience is important. And this is the graduate film school. This is, quote, the real film school, not to belittle the London film school, which I'm sure was great. But this was like also involves a huge move, right? How hard was that part? Just like the, moving thousands of miles away.
The move from Palermo to London was more difficult, I think. From
Why?
Sicily to London was more difficult. It was the first time I moved. I was very young. And then from London and Los Angeles was also hard. It was not as hard because I go from this big city to another big city, from London to Los Angeles.
And you're more familiar with the language then at that point, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's also a big aspect. Yeah, I could speak English. I did leave a relationship basically in London that was hard. But
did you leave? Did you leave a note or something?
I left a cat. I left a cat in London.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will say that when I think about like my heartbreak, was Palermo, Sicily to London more than London, Los Angeles. That was a little easier.
A little more excitement probably coming here.
Yeah, because it was this huge opportunity for me. Like getting into AFI was like bingo. It was great. Being in Los Angeles was a dream. As soon as I got to Los Angeles, I found out that from my house, I could see the Hollywood sign, which for me was crazy. Like now I see the Hollywood sign, I'm like, I don't even look at it. But when I go here, I in the morning, the first morning, I look out the window from my bedroom and I see the Hollywood sign. I was like, this is crazy. I could see the Hollywood sign from my window.
It is great. My first job working in I grew up in LA, right? But I didn't grow up anywhere near Hollywood. But my first job working in the industry was at like across the street from Paramount Studios. And Paramount's the only studio that's like in Hollywood. And if you look north on a clear day, you see the Hollywood sign. And I remember just being on that little lot and I would look up and I'd be like, oh my, I would tell the people, the other PAs I was working with, there's the Hollywood sign. And they'd be like, it's like you just said, everyone else is over it. They're like, yeah. We know that's for tourists. It's like, no, you guys, no, this is why we're doing it.
Totally. Yeah, that's how I felt. It was amazing. I feel like I made it. It was like, no, I'm so far.
You made it to the sign. That's about it.
Yeah.
So talk about those first days at AFI and, how are you, what's going through your head? How are you feeling? You're meeting all these people from all over the world. Although wasn't that the heavily Italian year?
Yeah. 6 Italians.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Like there was one Italian the year after, no Italians the year before, and no Italian the year after, and I went six Italians. Funny enough, I knew already one of them.
Which one?
Daga.
Oh, Daga. Okay, yeah.
I knew already Daga before AFI, which is funny. But so the first days, I don't know, I felt like obviously I was very happy, but especially because it felt like I was just walking on my dream. There's like Rob Spera that now is not at AFI anymore, but I remember his first class. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but basically this whole point was, I can feel the weight of your dreams.
Wow.
And that felt so strong, and that's how I felt at first. It felt like these dreams that are, I'm doing it. I'm on this path towards reaching that dream.
That's really beautiful, and it must have been nice to find those people like Rob there that kind of like embraced and knew what you were going through, and
Yeah.
are basically like supporting it and encouraging it.
Yeah, Rob was just amazing. I talked to him not too long ago, a few by email, and he was still the same. I don't know, the
Yeah.
same passion, the same warmth. It was a really great teacher. I think was probably one of the best teachers I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I think all the best directing graduates say that. they they know that what they know they got something great out of that guy, and he's just the best. I'm glad he's still doing it, even if he's not doing it here,
Yeah,
because
me too.
I can push people to his private classes. So
Mhm.
do you remember Real Day?
I remember, actually, I remember you on Real Day
Yeah, it
because I
was my
remember I
favorite.
sent
What do you remember?
because because my reel was slightly longer than it was supposed to be. I sent you an email beforehand,
There's
and
always that guy. There's always
yeah,
one.
you made a joke. I don't remember. And then I showed it, and then you said something nice, because it was a scene, I don't know, you probably don't remember, but it was a scene in which there are two parents fighting, and it was all in one shot. It was like this 4-minute oneer.
Hmm.
And then you said that felt real, and I was like, oh, nice,
Wow.
nice.
Oh, so this was from your film about your parents.
Yeah, that was that film I mentioned, the last movie I made in London.
Yeah, but was there, because I've heard it from other people, like the anxiety of that day of showing your work. A lot of people have never seen their work on the big screen at that point, and then showing it to your colleagues that everyone is kind of trying to impress, and you're thinking about teaming for your first film. Were you going through any of that?
I always have anxiety when people are looking at me. For me, I was not anxious about showing the movie. I was anxious about having to stand up to say my name in front of everyone, and that's it. That was the part. I was speaking in front of everyone, showing the movie. I was I was confident about that scene that I was showing. I
Yeah.
thought people were gonna like it, or that I thought it was a strong scene. So I was happy to show it, actually.
Do you remember like at the next break after we showed your scene? Like, did you have a lot of people coming up to you, talking to you?
I don't. I definitely had some people coming up to me. I don't remember anyone specifically. I
Yeah.
do remember that because the scene was in one shot, a lot of cinematographers didn't want to work with me because they thought I was gonna make movies only in one shot, which is kind of true. I did make movies with long.
Did you? Is that your thing? You like that?
I love long shot. My third cycle had an 11-minute oneer.
What?
Yeah.
That's like the whole movie almost.
Yeah, it was I think 8 shots in total, I think, or 6. I don't remember, something like that.
Wow.
We built in the sound studio. We built an apartment. Betsy said it was the biggest set we ever had. I mean, house. And we shot an 11-minute banner. There is actually I ended up having a cut in the middle because I just wanted to change
Takes.
to take. But yeah, we did do that.
Okay, so you made it through. You made it through 2 years of AFI. What were you thinking about, like what your post AFI life was going to be, or were you someone that was just like, I'm in the moment, I'm here to make these movies, I'm just going to like study the craft as best I can, not thinking of how do you start a career and all those kinds of things?
Yeah, I'm not very good at planning those things. I was very much in the moment, and as I was finishing a fight, what I thought about was my next film, and we shot something in Sicily actually a few months after AFI.
Wait, did you just finish it recently?
No,
Oh, okay. I
there
saw there
was
was something else. Aquare Chiuso?
yeah, that was in yeah, that's the one. That was, we shot it in 2019, at the end of 2019. Then there was the pandemic, and we kind of
Ah,
paused the thing for a while, because at the beginning we were like, let's wait for this to just end, the pandemic to end quickly, and then it
mhm.
didn't, and then we finished it basically in 2021, but we
Right,
actually shot it at the end of 2019.
right.
I was thinking of that, and then as I was working on that, not too long after, there was, first signs of the pandemic and stuff like that, and then March 2020 is when everything went down in America. And
Yeah.
before that, in Italy, was already happening.
Yeah,
So
Italy got hit hard. Yeah,
yeah,
early.
and this is why I got my job, actually, that I did for the last 3 years,
Which is what?
which is I worked as a dubbing director for Netflix projects, also Disney and Amazon Studios.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
You're
and
directing voice actors.
yeah. I from foreign languages into English. The reason why I started is because in Italy, because it was hit so hard, they couldn't deliver a dub for a movie from an American movie into Italian. So Netflix asked a company in Los Angeles they could do it, and this company in Los Angeles found me.
You know what's sad though is, and it's sad for me too because I've done a little voiceover work. Is that that business is going to go away because of AI. That's one of the first ones to get hit.
Yeah,
Have you seen any of these videos of how they can take an actor's performance? They could take me talking right now in English. AI will listen to my voice, and then they'll do, okay, let's do the Italian version, and then it'll be my voice speaking Italian, and then there's another program that will change my mouth, the video of it, so I'm saying the right words in Italian, and it's seamless. What? Wait, quickly, do you know Christina Diamantara? Is
yeah.
she your
She's the
class?
one that to this that she worked for the same company, and
Oh, okay,
she's the one that gave them my name.
got
So
it.
I
Okay,
know
because I
them
knew she
thanks
was doing
to her.
that, so that makes sense. That's the connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So, okay, so you went to AFI because you wanted to, it was a place where you could keep making films and meet people.
Yeah.
I know you made films because I know it's part of the program. Did you get to always make the films you wanted to make?
First year, yes. My Unfortunately, I think the worst film I made at AFI, that my collaborators would not like this, for me to say this.
No, but you're critiquing yourself, right?
Yeah. It was my thesis film. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's my worst film, but I think it's the farthest from what I wanted to make.
How do you
Um,
think that? How do you think you got there? Too
I
much
think
development?
I think it's a mix of things. I think I made some wrong choices. I think I made some wrong choices in terms of story. I think I went with something that was not exactly. It was me, but it was not exactly what I'm best at, and I did it in circumstances that were not allowing me. I'm not gonna be very specific on
I
this,
know why. Yeah, I get it.
but I'm not. But in circumstances that were not allowing me to be at my 100%. As a consequence, I think then if there are like one or two things that go wrong at the beginning, then it can get worse and then worse and then worse. For reasons related to production, we were not able to do additional photography.
Mm,
So we did not have that. So there were a series of things. Things didn't go well in that project, unfortunately.
yep.
It's still like a movie that if you watch it on the big screen, it's still a movie that I think has a very strong atmosphere. I think is missing the most important part, which is emotions. I think I did not manage to deliver that. Yeah.
At what point do you like start to realize that? Because I the first year is so like go go go, and you go from film to film to film, and you don't have time to really like if you're going on instinct a lot, which sometimes is good. But with thesis, it's the second year is drawn out, right?
Yeah.
Is there a point where you go, oh, this is not quite working, but the train's already left the station and you have to make this movie?
I realized that a few times because I think the first day of thesis, okay, basically production didn't go very well, especially pre-production didn't go very well. A lot of things just went wrong in pre-production, and I've never been so tired on a first day of shoot. Never been so tired.
Like physically tired.
I was physically and mentally tired on my first day of shoot, and that's just not that's just not right. And in fact, I did not use anything for my first day. My first day is like it never happened. There's
it was that bad.
Yeah. It was just, I mean, like technically it was fine, but I just didn't get what I wanted. And I'm being very transparent about my experience here, but I was so devastated at the end of the first day that on the second day I woke up and I didn't want to go on set. I mean, obviously I went on set. I knew I was gonna go on set, but I had this thing because things were not going very well. But on the second day, things went much better. Things actually worked out.
Well, you're saying it like it was just like acts of God and nature, but you're the director, so you must have changed your like the way you approached it on the second day, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we did a sequence that I thought about a lot, and I think that helped because it was a scene in which I was not, I don't know, I don't know. I think I felt very secure in some ways, and that allowed me to regain confidence. And I also, as soon as I got on set, I was like, I need to do this, and it was the most important sequence of the film. So I just obviously worked really hard, and that day, and things went better. After that day, things were looking a bit better. On the third day, I got a fever, and then on the fourth day, I had like I don't know, in America, it's like 38-degree fever.
Ooh.
Celsius, which is how much is that in Fahrenheit? Like 80. I don't remember.
It's got to be in the close to 100 because that's when you're sick, right?
Yeah, it was. I think it was under 100, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's 100. 38 is 100.4. That's
really? Okay.
That's a fever. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I just went outside. It was nice because one of the actresses was Bo Garrett from
I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Yeah, she did a lot of things. She did a lot of TV. She was in Thrawn, I think. She was in The Good Doctor. She did a lot of things. She's a very known face, and she was just so nice. So she brought me soup, and she got me her medicines and stuff like that. And then she got sick as well. She had to leave earlier. A lot of small things.
Sounds like it was cursed. Jeez.
Yeah, a lot of things. And then after, when we were preparing for additional photography, we were not able to do that. So a lot of things went wrong with this film. So I realized that things were not going well multiple times because it goes wrong in pre-production. Then I thought maybe I can make it work. Then it goes wrong on set. I think now it's going better. Let's see. But the truth is that when you add up everything, it's gonna affect the final result. And, and so
I mean, it's it is a school, so that is a learning, a teachable moment. You learn from that process. I know the problem is like everybody puts so much emphasis on thesis, and it's like your one chance to make that movie, and it's going to launch your career, and that's not 100% true. And it is, just because something doesn't turn out the way you wanted it doesn't mean like you are a bad filmmaker. You know that.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like how you deal with it. And then I think that shows a lot that, you know, you stepped up the second day, and, you know, that's the important lesson that you learned. You could have been crushed like throughout.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I think also the movie didn't go to huge festivals, but it did go to a bunch of festivals and also won awards and stuff like that. So it wasn't like it wasn't quiet. The festival
Right.
run was not quiet, and it also helped me a lot with my visa, for example, and stuff like that. So obviously there are positive things
Sure.
that
But
came.
there's how you feel about it. And then it's not,
Yeah,
it doesn't represent you as what you want to do.
yeah.
So then
Um,
coming out, then did you want to immediately like get another film under your belt? Like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
did. I did another film. There was just a different experience. The one that you mentioned, A Cuore Chiuso. There was a different experience because it was clearly rushed. We kind of did everything very quickly. But I will say that in that movie, I think I wanted to just not care about. It's gonna sound weird, but about the result. I think maybe I felt a lot of pressure from thesis, and this has to work, this has to work, this has to work. That for that movie, I felt I just want to enjoy this process, and I loved it. I love being on set, and I also really like the movie. I think the movie has some technical problems related to Sicily and the fact that it's difficult to find people in Sicily to help you do things. But it was
Right.
great. It was a production AFI Sicily. People from AFI came to Sicily to shoot the movie.
That's really cool. Then that's exciting for them. I saw a bunch of AFI people in the crew.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and mixed with people from Palermo, and it was such a beautiful experience, a really beautiful experience.
but that's so important and so wise of you to think like I just needed to fall in love with the process again, right? To remind myself that I like doing it and not
Mhm.
be attached to the outcome because the last process was painful.
Yeah, I mean, it was not so much that I needed to remind myself because I knew it. It was more about I want to experience it again, and I wanted to feel like the project is on my hands. And the project was beautiful because I gave myself the opportunity to actually improvise on set. We had like a whole sequence in the film that is completely improvised. Improvised doesn't mean that the actors improvised, meaning that we literally improvise scenes.
Very
We
Cassavetes.
Yeah, it was just amazing. There is this the day before. It's funny because when we started filming, we still didn't have a location. And at night, so after filming, we will go around with the producers to look for this location in this small town in Sicily. We didn't find it, and at some point I said, "Can I curse?"
Yeah,
I
please.
said, "Fuck it, we're not gonna shoot that movie, that scene. We're just gonna replace that scene with another sequence, and that's now my favorite sequence in the movie. I just love that sequence. It's very simple. It's just about this simple dialogue between daughter and father that it plays in the background, and there is this young woman that is just walking in these streets in Sicily, and you hear children playing in the background, and all this stuff, and then she reaches the beach. It might sound a little cheesy. I don't think it actually is if you watch it. But that was a beautiful experience, and the actors in this movie are actually amazing.
Yeah.
All the actors
All
involved.
locals in Sicily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actors that were actually pretty big in Sicily, and
Oh,
one of them has become pretty, like, kind of not very big, but kind of big in Italy. The same year, I think she went to Venice, the red carpet in Venice, and all this stuff, and she did a bunch of feature films in the last few years.
she'll be on the next season of Stranger Things, I assume.
Maybe, yeah, I should suggest that.
But did that go against like what your traditional style was of like a very controlled and scripted and like you knew the plan? Was this new for you?
It was a new thing. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm usually very like I do allow for improv and all this stuff on set. Um, I think I that one was the film in which I felt the most free. for sure. I wouldn't say it was very different from what I do usually. I think it just it was an extreme expression of what I usually do, I think.
Okay, great. I want to see it. You guys send it to me.
I'm not gonna send it to you.
I want to see it
because as I mentioned at the beginning, or maybe I don't know how you're gonna edit this. I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, I do have a problem with like showing my work. I do have a problem with
You know, it's part of the process of being a
yeah,
filmmaker.
yeah. I just hate when like at AFI, every time I showed my film, I had anxiety. I would never watch it in the theater, obviously, and I would just stay out and I will have anxiety the whole time. I will spend like those 20 minutes with anxiety just running around AFI while everyone was watching my movie. It was horrible.
So you don't want to sit in there and feel how an audience reacts to your movie?
No, I don't want to. I did it only once, which was that film I made in London, and I watched it with my mom next to
Ooh.
me. But it was actually beautiful. It was so funny because my mom, for that movie, my mom had seen it 3 times. Like it was the third time she was gonna watch it. She first watched it on my computer, and she had no reaction. Then she watched it a second time. I don't remember. Yeah, and now there's like a slightly bigger screen, mild reaction. Then we watch it on the big screen, and she cries next to me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It
That's beautiful.
was a very beautiful, yeah.
But do you think that it's important for a filmmaker to feel their movies with audiences? Like you do make it, or unless you're just making films for therapy to get things out of your system, but that, you know, does not sustain a career.
Mm-hmm.
Is it important for a filmmaker to know, to know what how the audience reacts to your work?
I do think it's very important. I think, in fact, I think it's something that I have to get over with. I mean, I do think that it is very important, and I think lately I'm starting to, I don't know. I guess with at AFI, for example, all the movie I made. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't have an answer. I have an answer in the sense that I do think it's important. I think it's just something I need to work on myself. I need to overcome this anxiety.
You had the anxiety. You wouldn't go in the theater and watch it, but I assume we're talking about Narrative Workshop. You had to sit on the stage and listen to people talk about your film, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
I was in bed for 2 weeks after that. Wait. Narrative Workshop. You're not talking about my thesis. You're talking about first year.
I'm talking about first year, yeah. But if there is what you're talking about, the thesis preview.
Yeah, I was in bed for 2 weeks.
Just from reading the reviews, the responses,
They were horrible. They were horrible. The sad thing about that preview is that I think first years tend to project their fears on the movies that they're about to see, and so they just can't wait to just crush them, and instead of trying to actually help the filmmaker to make it better, and they were not nice. They were not nice about a movie that I was already like feeling so heavy about, and that was the worst experience that I've had. Obviously, it was not a big deal, to be honest. After all, like, but yeah, in that moment, it felt very heavy. Like, I just didn't want to get out of bed for that.
That's an interesting way. I've always thought about it, and I talk about it and I joke about it, how the first years, treat those. And I'm always like, you're going to be sitting in that seat next year. What aren't you not thinking forward, and you're not being helpful, and you're a filmmaker? You don't know this is not, saying this sucks is not a, a helpful critique. But saying like they're projecting their fears, that's really interesting. I've never thought of it that way. And
I mean, I think it's clear. I mean, I know also because I experienced it. I never had like very harsh comments when I had the previews, but I know how I felt, and I know that I was like, I'm gonna be like, And yeah, it's not very helpful. And because the previews are not meant for people to just crush you, or meant for people to help you improve your project. And I think it just for my film, I don't know, it was also because of the subject. The film was about this guy that goes to a brothel where he meets a woman that looks like his mother. So the subject, I think, created also there was something negative about just the subject.
I think I remember people just you just read the log line and some people were turned off, like, oh, that's gross. Yeah.
And I think they created just this negativity. And so I had like 2 people coming to me and apologize after that preview because they had been too harsh. And apologizing for being too harsh, and maybe just created this thing. It's like, I don't know if you read 1984. There's like the hate, when everyone is like stand up and they hate, and they just yell, and you just can't help it. You're just in the middle and just do it as well. And then maybe after you realize, oh shit, I
always say, like people one-on-one are great. People in a group are terrible.
Yeah.
Or they can be good, but sometimes they're just terrible. You survived it. Congrats. Are there any like lines that you read in one of those critiques that like you burned into your brain? Do you remember it?
I actually remember only one, which actually was a positive comment.
Good.
But I don't know why it stuck with me, not because of it was positive. So the movie, we spent so much time on the colors. I'm actually, one of the things I'm very proud of about the movie is the use of colors. It just goes from this like how do you say, like artificial yellow with traces of red, and then goes more into red, and then goes into blue until it goes back to yellow, but it's a natural yellow. I think if you see all the the frames of the movie, actually
I love looking at movies like that. Yeah.
It looks very nice. And this person said, beautiful colors. If you did it on purpose, congratulations. Like, what do you mean if you did it on purpose? I spent so much time on
this. It's like a compliment and an insult at the same time.
Purpose. That's the only comment that I really remember. Is like,
why can't people just leave a compliment as a compliment? I mean, you're in AFI, you're in graduate school. Obviously, you were making choices. Like,
yeah, if you did it on purpose, congratulations. Like, what do you mean?
And what if I didn't? Then what?
Then you
still get credit for it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, so I know this is going way too long, but we'll get to the end. But so we'll get to what do you do when you graduate? Like, what would those like post AFI? I know there wasn't long before COVID, but there was some time. What did you do?
Right after AFI, what was I doing? Actually, I don't remember exactly. I know I was working on the film, so on this new short film. So that right, even before AFI, the end of AFI, I was starting to work on that. Then I spent the summer working on that, and then we shot in October of 2019. And then I kept working on my feature film. There's this feature film that I've been working on for 5 years. So as I mentioned, I started with Sandy Stern at AFI, and I think probably finished it just like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
You think you finished it?
I mean, because I said it already twice that I finished it. So now,
right. Well, you're never going to be finished with it, but until.
Yeah, I'm looking for a producer because I don't have a producer right now. I'm looking for a producer to partner with in order to try and find the funds to do it. It's a movie set between Italy and between San Francisco and Sicily. I did that, and then I worked on some sets. I don't remember. I think I did first ADing a little bit, and then I did also some second ADing because of money. And then I think that's what I did basically. I think my intention was I wanted to find money, find a way to survive, and at the same time just focusing on my feature film. That's what I wanted to do.
And you had the visa thing you had to deal with also because
and
you're
the visa thing.
yeah.
The visa thing was a huge thing, but that I actually dealt with it properly like the year after, because you have OPT, which is like working permit for a year after AFI.
Right.
So I had that, but I soon had to start thinking about that, because the visa will cost $10,000. It takes months to prepare the application. I just reapplied for I did a renewal. It was 2,000 pages.
Pages? 2,000 pages.
2,000 pages. I mean, when I sent it the first time, it was 1,200 pages.
What you have to read 2,000 pages or the 2,000 pages of material you're giving them? Like,
Yeah. 2,000 pages, because it's not all written. It's
yeah,
sometimes it's like, because
articles and
exactly. Oh, yeah.
but still
Stuff like
2,000, like that's longer than the Bible.
that. Yeah, because I added a lot of this dubbing work that I did, and I did some like very big shows. I worked on All of Us Are Dead, the Korean show, a lot of Korean shows actually. Big Bad, the Disney. I worked on Hellbound, the Silent Sea. I did a lot of things, and so I added articles related to all those big shows that I did, and that's like 600 pages more just for those things I did.
Yeah, that's smart. It's kind of like you just overwhelm them with evidence, and they go, "Yeah, okay, you're good."
Yeah,
no one's gonna read 2,000 pages.
Yeah, they don't, absolutely, but it looks good.
Yeah. Well, congrats on that. So what was something that you come out of AFI, you start, experiencing the real world, in your way. What was something that you thought, oh, they didn't teach us that in film school?
I mean, that's not necessarily something that I learned that I thought about after AFI, but in general, I think one of the most important component in filmmaking, which is collaboration, is something that maybe, I don't know if it's something you can really teach, because it's very difficult, because it's just about, working with other people. But that's something that can be tricky, and how to just work with people, how to allow them to do the best work they can. I think personally, when I started, I think I was this arrogant Italian kid that was thought it was the new Antonioni, Fellini, and I was actually I had a temper. I was a little fiery and all this stuff. In my collaborations, at first in London, the first couple of movies were not very good, and I slowly learned, and I think it was just the maturity. Just you mature as a person, and you learn how to deal with people. But yeah, that's definitely a very important aspect of filmmaking. Definitely one of the most important ones that is difficult to teach, and I don't will teach you.
Did that got knocked out of your system? The I'm the next, like, Antonioni, that got knocked out before you came to AFI, or
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah. I think arrogance comes from insecurity, and when I was making movies that didn't really feel like they belonged to me, I was covering up my insecurity about what I was doing and what I was writing with this arrogance. And when I started to discover and understand what I was actually trying to achieve, and I was actually trying to discover myself at the same time, I was able to let go of that arrogance, because I had less insecurity due to the fact that I was I was coming out a little bit as a person. I was finding out what was I all about, in a way.
yeah, I see that a lot in at AFI, and imposter syndrome, which is very connected to that, right? People,
yeah, definitely
trying too hard to present a certain way because they don't want to look like they don't know everything. But I'm always like, that's why you're in school, because you don't know everything. So let's all admit that's why we're here, to learn.
Yeah, totally.
Were there any mentors that really helped you, like through the process, through AFI and post AFI?
Yeah, I mean, AFI was definitely, there are two, Harrison and Sandy. I think Harrison, because she's one of the most caring and loving people I know, and I still talk to her pretty often because she was my mentor for the thesis, and she was just amazing. I could call her anytime if I had a problem, and she obviously I will talk to her about the movie a lot for hours. She did more than she needed to, and with me, and for me that was very valuable, and this is why I still have a relationship with her. Sandy, Sandy was my mentor for basically every movie in the first year.
Yeah.
And I requested. I was in the second year. When you do the feature writing class, they give you different mentors, and I was with Barry, but I requested to be with Sandy.
Wow, how did Barry take that? Barry,
he was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry." I didn't know that I was with Barry, to be honest. I requested from the beginning. I was like, "Can I go with Sandy?" And Barry, "Oh no, but I'm sure everything will be." I mean, I don't know what he said. And then I was with I was with him, and I met Sandy a few days ago, and he was like, "How is it going with your movie?" And I said, "I think I finished it, like I told you." And he said, "Send it to me." And it will be the third time he reads my feature.
That's amazing. And you graduated 4 years ago. So.
Yeah, and he still does that. So
That's really cool that you found two people that are like want to continue this like relationship and see you. Yeah.
To be honest, I tried to convince. No, I didn't try. I kind of suggested jokingly Sandy to produce my movie, but he didn't take that. He didn't respond to that joke.
Well, he hasn't read the new draft yet. So
yeah, maybe that will change.
What kind of budget are we talking about for this?
It's not very expensive. I think I can do it with 500K. Best will be 2-3 million. So obviously, but it's not a huge budget.
You gonna work with some AFI people? Got to use a cinematographer.
I mean, all my friends are cinematographers, so there are a few. So yeah, I would love to. I think working with AFI people will be probably mostly cinematographers and probably editor from AFI too, Skylar Zhang, and that worked on my thesis and one other project at AFI.
Right.
And yeah. See.
So when young, aspiring filmmakers come to you and they ask, like, should I go to film school? Not specifically AFI, but just in general, since you've been to two, what is your advice?
My advice is to, I've never been to another school, another law school or anything like that. So I don't know how that is, but I will imagine that it's different from film school. From film school, you are the one who needs to take what you need and just leave the rest. I think a lot of people think they go to school and go to AFI, and AFI makes them great filmmakers, and that's just the wrong approach. Because you need to make yourself a great filmmaker, and AFI has a lot of ways that they can help you, and you just have to pick the way and just remember to stay yourself. I think the problem also that I notice is either people complaining a lot about a bunch of things. They're not given this, they're not given that, they're not given that, and people sometimes losing a little bit themselves because they tend to become like one thing. I don't know, they kind of lose their touch
because they're trying to like make the teachers happy, or or the other fellows. They're trying to impress the other fellows.
Yeah, it's like it's like when you're given feedbacks on a script. You can't take all the feedbacks.
No,
it's it's not math. It's not a science. It's like you need to preserve yourself, and the same thing with film school. You're gonna meet a lot of mentors, a lot of people that are gonna tell you a lot of things, but you just have to stay focused on what you want to do. What is it that you want to do? Because people are not in your mind. They don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. So take what you need from all that and leave the rest.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I feel like the people that are most disappointed with the experience are the people that came in expecting this place to just give it to them, right? Like, oh, that's why I'm paying you. It's transactional. And it's life is all expectations and and then reality. And your expectations were you wanted to make movies and you wanted to meet people and you did both. So you seem satisfied, right? And people that you're going to keep working with, which is great. And making all those films helped you, made you a better filmmaker.
Yeah, I'm very happy with what I did, my journey. Obviously, being in this industry is very difficult, and that's undeniable. But I'm very happy when people ask me, because I did have in the last 2 months, I have two different people calling me to ask me if they should apply specifically to AFI, and what I will tell them is exactly this. As long as I also said that obviously I can talk for AFI in my ears. I know schools can change and stuff like that. But then exactly this, you need to take what you need. Don't expect them to do it for you.
Yeah, that part hasn't changed, and I don't think that part ever will change. Yeah. So the last thing then would be, you've been searching for the truth in your work, in yourself. How's that search going?
I mean, this movie that I've been working on for a long time, I think that's the best thing I've ever written. And I think it took so long because it was a movie, again, related to my family. And it's a movie that I started writing without knowing how the structure. I didn't know what was going to actually happen in the film. And that's why it took me so long, because I knew only the next scene. That's the only thing I will decide, the next scene. But I think for this movie in particular, I had to do this because movies, I mean, if you make this kind of movies, they're a way to discover yourself and to discover how you feel about yourself, about the people close to you. And it allows you to get to know yourself better and to get to know the people close to you better. And I think that allows you to get to a certain truth. And I think it's very beautiful. And this process of writing has been frustrating, obviously, sometimes, but very beautiful. So I'm very happy with it. Don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's a really thoughtful answer. Yeah, and an interesting experiment. The way to write something is to just think of what happens next. Mm-hmm. And since you've written it, rewritten it a few times now, and probably over many years, right? It probably changes like what you think of what should happen next or what you want to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. But then, because obviously you change over time, and so then the story automatically will change. The story is mostly about. It was supposed to be mostly about my parents, and then there is also a kid. But then it also became not only about my childhood, but it became also about me now. And so the figure of my father became also me. For example, and because it's a story of this family. The guy is an Italian immigrant in the States. Well, the mother is American. So yeah, it's interesting. It's funny because in the past, when people will say like, "Oh, I worked on this script for 7 years," I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." What do you mean 7 years? What are you writing every day for 7 years? And then I understand. It's like you write intense moments, and then you don't touch it for a few months, and then you go back into it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. And after Sandy reads it and gives some notes, then send it over to Schwartzy. And maybe we should talk and see how we can get it to, you're looking for a producer. That's the hardest part. I assume you're looking for a producer that has financing, that kind of producer.
I'm looking for someone that is very passionate about the film. I'm not looking for someone that has like money or anything. I'm just looking for someone that wants to make that movie, is passionate about the movie, and is ready to partner with me to make it. I think that has been for me the most difficult part, finding producers that actually are very passionate about just movies and about movies that are not the classic. Now there are a lot of Avengers movies and all this stuff that are not necessarily that, but it's definitely a movie that's a bit more, it's European in the style. It's not very American, I would say. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Well, that's the beauty of AFI, is like we're so international. So now, with all these alumni over the years, they're all over the world, and we have a lot of European people to connect you with. So
yeah, maybe
anyway.
I should didn't think about it, but yeah, I should just come over and talk to you.
You should, yeah, we should talk.